Hello and welcome to the finale of Spyro the Dragon. At the end of the last episode, we finished at Dreamweaver's world, and in this episode, we are heading off to the final world in the game. It is, of course, the one and only Gnasty Gnorc's world. So this final home world is pretty interesting, and you'll kind of see what I'm talking about as soon as we land. It's kind of sad. This is this is actually gonna be our final hot air balloon ride in the game. I'm gonna miss seeing this little transition here. And we have landed in Gnasty's world. As soon as you enter, you actually have the opportunity to go back and, of course, travel back to any home world that you so choose to. You can see that we have not really a lot to explore here. We have a few gems, a few chests, and of course, just one single dragon statue located directly in the middle of the home world. We have a lot of dragon heads here. It looks like giant metal dragon heads, and we're not really sure what's going on, but let's find out.
Hey, didn't I already free you?
You're in Gnasty's world now, Spyro. And you are the dragon that must defeat him.
Bring him on! I'm ready!
Reach the exit in each of Gnasty's lands. Then you can challenge the Gnorc himself.
So as you can see, we have 3 giant metal dragon head statues. These are actually closed. However, they will open upon finishing this first stage located right here, which is Gnorc Cove. So this home world being the last one is kind of interesting, and I actually kind of like this idea of only being able to access specific stages upon finishing one at a time. They didn't do this, of course, in the rest of the game, and I think that even though I do like the idea of being able to kind of freely explore, you know, travel to different stages and kind of having that freedom to really pick and choose whichever stage you want to. If you want to finish one later on and come back to one, that's always nice. But I also do like the idea of having it kind of linear to where you know, you essentially have to travel through, or you have to finish one stage in order to unlock the next. I think it's a nice spin on the final home world because it kind of gives you that little extra challenge at the end, to where you are essentially locked out of finishing the game if you do not complete these stages in order. So kind of a small thing, but it's just something I like that they added at the end. I think it was perfect. So right here, this is the first stage, Gnorc Cove. The main gimmick with this stage is, as you can see, we have these Gnorc guys that are actually tossing barrels at us, very much Donkey Kong style. We also have TNT barrels, and as you can see, they will explode upon contact. However, we can actually use those to our advantage to take out some of these enemies. The barrels are going to be used to take them out as well. We have metal barrels, which we can actually charge into, like for example right here. And see the Gnorc holding the TNT dynamite barrel? Well, if we charge into this barrel, it will actually explode his TNT barrel, and then we actually have to charge into it again in order to take him out. Now, one thing I'm actually kind of curious about is why the TNT barrel doesn't actually annihilate the enemy once you hit it the first time. Because you would think that if he's holding a barrel of TNT dynamite, that crap would essentially destroy anything in its path. So it's kind of interesting that they don't actually die once that TNT barrel goes off the first time. You actually have to hit him again in order to take him out. We have a dragon statue out there in the distance. So right off the bat, you can see that this world is not messing around. The platforming goes to a whole different level, and we have a lot of obstacles to face off with here right off the bat. These guys are going to be chucking barrels at you as soon as you enter the stage, so come prepared for a little bit more of a challenge compared to all the other stages that we've seen in the past. So again, with it being the final home world, it only makes sense that they're going to throw pretty much everything they can at you in order to kind of test you to see if you're ready for the final challenge. So, but we have our first dragon statue here of the level.
Keep up the good work, Spyro. I expect Gnasty's really starting to worry about you.
I'd be shaking in my Nork boots if I were him.
Right you are, Spyro. Right you are. And that dragon's kind of interesting. It kind of looks like he's essentially levitating. Like his feet are kind of crossed and he's, I guess, channeling his inner spirit there. I don't think we've ever seen a dragon in the game up until now that's looked like that. So I think that's kind of interesting. We'll go ahead and move forward here. Of course, we have a bunch of stuff to collect here. We are not even close to getting our gem count in this stage yet. Obviously, we just started, but of course, as you can see, we have more barrels. I love this mechanic here. I wish they had done something like this a little bit sooner in the game, but I'll take it here in the final home world. I think that this is such a cool idea, being able to use objects and, you know, kind of like these barrels here to kind of throw at enemies versus just relying on your flame attack and your regular abilities. I think having objects to chuck at enemies, or you know, using anything else as tools as more of like a long range attack should have been something, in my opinion, that should have been implemented way earlier in the game. I think maybe halfway through the game they should have started doing stuff like that. I think I kind of talked about that when we like, for example, like when you visit the second home world, Peacekeepers, you have those cannons in the home world section. They're not in the regular stages, but they're in the actual home world, where you can actually fire at structures and, you know, break open various structures, opening up various pathways. It would have been cool to see more stuff like that, or even back in Dreamweaver's world, we were just there, where they had that like magical weapon that essentially enlarged the size of enemies. I think they should have done a lot more with that in some of the normal stages and have that as another tool to fight enemies. I don't know, maybe I'm alone in that, but in my personal opinion, I think that they could have taken a lot more advantage of that mechanic. But we get it here in a way. We're able to kind of use these barrels to kind of wreak havoc on these Nork guys, and rightfully so. I mean, these guys have been kind of getting in our way ever since we've been starting this adventure. So it's nice to finally be able to kind of wreak havoc on them and kind of demolish them, so to speak, rather than just relying on our, you know, close-up attacks like the flame and the charge attack. So but as you can see, we have some Nork guys that are actually standing on top of these barrels. We just want to chuck this one at them, and I missed there, and I missed again. Very nice, great start. I think we actually, yeah, just want to go ahead and charge into the barrels. That'll knock them off, giving you more gems. This guy's going to be a pain in the ass. He's going to try to smash us with the barrel in his hand. We actually use the flame attack to light up his TNT barrel. Again, I'm not entirely sure how he survives that explosion, but whatever.
Wow, I never thought I'd be rescued, especially by such a little dragon. What I mean is, I always believed in you, Spyro.
You gotta believe.
Alright, not gonna lie, that was a little cringy there, that dialogue, but it's Spyro the Dragon, you have to love it. We have more barrels here, and this is kind of a cool little part here where you essentially can use these barrels as like a domino effect here, where you can bash the barrel into another barrel that the Nork guy is actually standing on top of, and he will actually fall down into the other enemies as well. So kind of cool. And here we have a little bit of a lower level part of the stage here. This part's kind of cool. We have a lot of different pathways we can actually take down here. Of course, more Nork's barrels. So we need to do our thing here to take them out. Something that's also cool about the barrels is you can actually break open these locked containers with them. So again, just taking full advantage of these barrels. I actually really like this stage, and again, mainly because you can use this as a way to do a lot. I mean, you can break open locked containers, which normally are a pain in the ass to find a way to break open. You either have to rely on the firework boxes in like some of the previous stages that we saw, or you have to also rely on the supercharge ramps, which I do believe there's actually none of them in this stage. I don't even know. Yeah, I don't think there's actually any of them in this stage. So One of the stages in the game that I think actually does not contain any supercharge ramp, so that's kind of rare. You can see that we have actually arrived at the return home portal already. The stage is actually pretty damn short, but we are still not quite done yet. If we go back down here, we have other pathways we actually did not take. This one leads to a dead end, but it does give us a key, so we actually have a locked chest we need to go and find as well. We have some rats down here, which will be a nice food source for sparks in the stage. And, oh, we have another fireworks box. Go ahead and light that up. More Norks trying to take us out Donkey Kong style, but we're not going to allow it. Here is our locked chest. We'll go and open that bad boy up. And that'll do it for the rest of the gems. So yeah, this stage is actually very surprisingly very short. Being the first stage into the final world, it's kind of interesting. It has a lot of cool mechanics in it, but it is not long at all. In my opinion, it's actually probably one of the easiest stages. So, but now that we're done, I'm just kind of scoping out the rest of the place, making sure I'm not missing anything that we have yet to discover. We'll go ahead and take this air current back up to the surface, and we are done here in stage 1 of Gnasty's world. And as you can see, our total amount of gems is going to be a little bit different. Normally we have like an even number. This time around it's a little bit different because we only have access to a little bit of gems at a time in this home world. And as you saw there when we first entered, there really wasn't a lot to collect. But now that we've completed stage 1, as you can see, they have not only opened up the next stage, which is that first big dragon statue mouth, but we have more gems that are given to us, and there's actually quite a bit in there. There's a purple gem and several blue gems, which are worth the highest amount in the game. So they will drop you different gems every time you finish a stage, which is another thing that I like. Even though there's not a lot to explore in this final home world, it's kind of cool again that they just kind of give you certain gems at a time, kind of tasking you with, you know, kind of adding that extra layer of challenge to where you have to get through these stages in order to get those rewards. So kind of cool. We have now entered stage 2, Twilight Harbor, and as you can see, we are already off to kind of an interesting start here. So these guys right here are the bane of my existence in this entire game. I know I've complained a lot about enemies in the past, you know, the wizards that we encountered back in Magic Crafter's world. I'm sure there's a lot of other enemies, like maybe like the attack frogs were kind of annoying. Those dogs in the very beginning of the game that jumped on you and you had to hit them twice. But these guys with these goo-like blasters are probably the most annoying enemy in the entire game. Now, one fun fact about these guys, and I think I already talked about this in a previous episode, is they were actually changed from the original Spyro game. So this remake actually changes the entire design of the enemy, where before they actually wielded machine guns and they fired actual ammo at you. Now, for obvious reasons, they had to change this for the remake since that was a completely different time. And in this game, they actually fire these goo blasters at you instead. However, that does not change the fact that these things are annoying as hell to dodge. You can do whatever you want in this stage to try to avoid these blasters, but they are very difficult to avoid. Not only can they attack you from such a long range to where they can blast you as soon as you turn a corner and you wouldn't even be prepared for it, but they are a headache to try to avoid without taking too many hits or dying.
Thank you for rescuing me.
Even if you see those guys coming, they are just hell on wheels when it comes to taking them on. Because again, they can hit you from so far away, and also the way the blaster actually hits you is it kind of goes in like a specific pattern where it goes from left to right. And not only that, but they don't give you a lot of time to prepare for the next blast. So essentially, these guys reload their cannons pretty damn quick to where they essentially have no break at all, to where they don't give you any time really to prepare for the next go. So once these guys blast you with this goo and you've already taken a hit or two, you have to essentially move pretty damn fast in order to even get through the next wave.
Be on the lookout for North Commandos, Spyro.
They better be on the lookout for me.
Yeah, I think that's exactly who he was talking about, is these guys. I guess they're called Nort Commandos. Yeah, they are just a pain in the ass. As you can see, I'm getting my ass handed to me. A lot of death is going to happen in this stage. This is probably what makes this stage probably my least favorite. Just because these enemies just are such a pain in the ass. Like, I just hate it that much. Like, the fact that they are so hard to avoid. I'm not really sure what these things are. These are like some sort of pumps that are pumping that nasty goo stuff that looks like the same type of material that they're shooting out of those cannons. So kind of interesting. Oh, and then we have these guys, of course. So these guys are going to chuck these barrels at you, kind of similar to the last stage, except they are also joined by these goo blasting Norks as well. So yeah, I think it's just like the placement of these guys. You have like 2 of them in the room, and not only, you know, it's not only hard to just avoid one of them and try to dodge that goo blast as soon as you enter like a certain room, but if you have 2 of them in the same room, if you have 2 of those guys in the same location, like this placement right here is just dickish. Like, look at this. Like, you have to make that jump and then jump again in a certain amount of time in order to avoid that blast. And it is just so hard to do. Like, it's very, very painful, very frustrating. If you're playing this for the first time, prepare to die quite a bit. And don't feel bad if you do, because this, I mean, I've played this game several times and I'm still having a hell of a time with this. So, my only advice is just to be quick and just jump a lot. I mean, that's really all you can do, is just to avoid it. Again, the pattern is so sporadic, and if you have 2 or 3 of those guys at a time in one location, it is nearly impossible to, you know, avoid them without getting hit, or you know, getting through the area without taking any damage at all. It is just a pain. But now that we've cleared this tunnel, we're actually going to go ahead and head back over here, because if you notice, there's actually a guy up there on the top level of that room. So what we need to do is actually, if we go back up here, there is a supercharge ramp. And you know what that means? We need to make an incredibly difficult jump. So as you can see, we can go ahead and take this. And now that we've lifted up that ramp, there's actually a lever that you can flame in order to raise this bridge up. So before I try to make that jump all the way up there, I forgot there's actually a lockbox right here that we need to supercharge into. So lowering that crank for the bridge will allow you to get through this area and break open that locked container. So now we need to go ahead and raise the bridge again, so that way we can make this jump. And a miss. And there we go. Very nice. We have 2 Nort Commandos up there. Went ahead and took them out. And we have a bunch of gems we can collect up here as well. Still missing just a few of them, though. I'm not exactly sure where they are. Looks like Sparks is going to go ahead and point me in the right direction. Ah, here we go. We just have 3 yellow gems to collect. That's the last 30 that we needed. And we are done here. So again, not really a long stage either. It just is a pain in the ass in terms of avoiding these Nort guys. And of course, if you're not a fan of the supercharged jumps, you have to deal with that as well. All right, so we are done here. Go ahead and return back and move on to the next stage. And I love that sunset that is sitting right behind Spyro as he's flying through. It just looks outstanding. It is so beautiful. Alright, so now that we have finished Twilight Harbor, we are given yet again another chest. We are given more gems to add to our collection. And that is actually the rest of the gems in this home world. So we have all 200 gems, but we are still missing a dragon statue. So there's one more dragon statue left to find, as you can see. As you can see, based off our guidebook, we are still missing one dragon. It is the last dragon to find in the game, but unfortunately we cannot get it quite yet. So believe it or not, there are only 2 stages in this final home world. So we've actually finished both stages. So all we have left to do is to take on the one and only Gnasty Nork. Welcome to the final fight of the game. This is the fight against the one and only Gnasty Nork. So this fight, I actually have quite a few problems with. Of course, we will find the rest of our gems here in this nice little boss stage here. But the one positive I will take away from this fight is Gnasty looks freaking cool. Obviously with this being the remake and all of the graphics looking a lot better, he looks completely badass, and I love that battle cry that he lets out every time he tries to attack you. However, this boss fight is kind of weird, and I honestly do not like it, to be completely honest. So what you're mainly trying to do here is you have 2 thieves that are holding keys. This first one, you essentially have to chase around this pattern just like you would with any other thief in the game, and you have to grab the key from him in order to unlock a door that leads to another thief, and that thief has a key as well. The second key will grant you access to the locked door that Gnasty is actually standing on top of, casting those crazy spells at you. Now, I have to say, although this fight seems kind of epic at first and those battle cries are something to be afraid of, I think this fight is kind of weird. I don't like it at all. You're essentially just running around this entire arena, and that's literally all you're doing. And so now that we have gotten the first key, we will open this door right here, and of course, like I said, this will bring you to yet again another thief holding the key. So this area here is actually pretty easy to miss gems in. So I've actually done this final fight, and believe it or not, I have actually missed one single gem, because they can sometimes be hiding around corners, like right here, for example. When you turn these corners in some of these rooms that you're running in, you can easily miss gems if you just happen to miss them. But yeah, this is literally the entire fight is Spyro using the charge attack to run around like a crazy animal. I kind of get what they were going for here, I guess, but I just personally do not like the way this fight is set up. And once we actually get to the door that Gnasty is standing on top of, it really doesn't change much after that. It actually kind of gets a little bit worse, and you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. But yeah, you're essentially just running around this entire arena, and that's literally all you're doing. So there's really not even a stage at all. You're just kind of running around grabbing keys. So I'm just doing one little last scope in this area because we are moving on to the final part. And we have unlocked the last door, and as you can see, we are now on a chase for the Gnasty. All right, so as you can see, we have more chests, more gems to collect. I recommend just stopping on this first round and this first lap and collecting all of the gems that you possibly can. because again, you want to make sure you do not miss any gems in this place. It would actually be kind of annoying if you do have to return here, because you just don't want to do it. Trust me, I've done it before. So make sure you get every single gem on your first lap through, and the rest of your gems are actually going to be located, of course, in Gnasty Nork himself once you take him down. Getting to him, on the other hand, is quite a chore. If you thought the thieves were fast, think again. So Gnasty Nork is pretty damn fast himself. He runs at extreme speeds. He will outpace Spyro. Even if you think that you are doing a good job catching up to him, you will never catch him until he actually stops on that middle platform. That is essentially your time to strike. So essentially, once he makes it back to the platform that he starts at, you want to take that moment to actually attack him. It is actually very difficult, to be honest. On my first playthrough, I think I struggled with this for several minutes, and it took me quite a bit of time to actually get him. So right here, when he does that jump, he's essentially going to accelerate his speed, and you will never catch him until, again, he gets back to that platform. But yeah, this is I just don't really care for this. Again, he looks cool. I would have much rather had some sort of, like, I don't know, multi-phase fight where he, I guess, throws more attacks at you and you have to slowly weaken him and damage him. Maybe you know, taking off pieces of his armor, or, you know, using your flame attack to, you know, damage him in a way, or slowly take him out or something. I would have much preferred anything else than running around this giant arena a million times to try to catch him in this really weird game of tag. So but yeah, this is it. This is the final fight. Again, he looks really cool, but that's really all I have to say that's positive in my personal opinion. Others might disagree. I just don't really care for this type of fight and the way it's laid out. Right here's our moment. Boom, as you can see, he stopped there. We got a hit in, and he is not done. He is on the run once again. All right, so I got a little turned around there. I somehow missed the room that he actually went into there. He's now going to take a different path this time, and you actually only have to hit him one more time, and then this fight is over. So all that ruckus that he caused, all the spells that he has casted upon these dragons, turning them into statues, it is over.
You're toast, Nork. Sorry I took so long. Almost forgot about you guys.
What about Gnasty Gnork?
Gnasty Nork is toast.
So now there's order again in the Dragon Kingdom?
Well, mostly. I've still got some treasure to find.
What will you do next?
I'd say the sky's the limit.
And let the credits roll, and that is it for Spyro the Dragon, the first installment in the Spyro Reignited trilogy. So overall, this is a beloved gem. This is one of my all-time favorite platformers, even though I never actually grew up with the game as a kid. I actually only started playing it just a few years ago. Same with Crash Bandicoot. I fell in love with these two franchises like never before. It was like being introduced to Super Mario 64 for the first time, but in a completely different way, you know, when you're older. It's a little bit different when you're older and you're introduced to a new game that you fall in love with, because even though you don't have the same type of memories and nostalgia that you had, you know, when you first play a game as a child, I don't know, there's just something magical about the first time playing this game and realizing that, wow, this has been, you know, this has existed for that many years, and I have never even tried to play it, or even had a thought of playing it, or even had the opportunity to play it. Like, I just feel like I missed out, and I obviously did, but I'm glad that they re-released this for, you know, the newer gen consoles. Well, you know, now we're kind of a generation behind, because this was, you know, back in 2018 when this came out. Same with the original Crash trilogy remake. But I have to say, this game is just fantastic. And I'm somebody that grew up on Banjo-Kazooie, and like I said, Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine. Those games are absolutely phenomenal, but this takes platforming to an entirely different level. You have, all sorts of different stuff that you're collecting. Some of the jumps that you're making, you have, wings. Spyro is a dragon, like having a glide ability. It's essentially like in Super Mario 64. Imagine if you had the wing cap for every single stage. It would essentially enhance your opportunity to do all, to do all sorts of different platforming and take on all sorts of different challenges, making very difficult jumps. Really strategizing and trying to figure out how you're going to make certain jumps and get certain collectibles that might be out of reach and you're not sure how to get. Like, just small things like that, it just puts your brain to the test and puts it to work in a way where that's the type of platforming I enjoy, and that's what I enjoy when I play a video game. You can play first-person shooters all day long. I love Call of Duty. I love Fortnite. Those are games that I absolutely adore as well. But this type of gaming, in my eyes, is really, really just kind of glazed over a bit, where I think a lot of people kind of go more for those like popular games that everybody's playing, but I feel like not a lot of people enjoy what gaming used to be, in a way where you were just challenged more, you used your brain more, you had to think a little bit more, you were tested more, like things like that. It just makes video games what they are to me, or at least for me. So but I obviously enjoy this. This is obviously not my first time playing through the game, but I am also eventually going to get to the other two games in the original trilogy. Of course, we have 2 more installments left to go. Although that won't be happening anytime soon, I will get to them in the near future. But that's it for Spyro the Dragon. Again, I think the charm with this game, obviously the voice acting is done phenomenally. They did change voice actors from the original trilogy. Tom Kenny voicing Spyro is always a plus. I really love Tom Kenny's work, of course, from SpongeBob. He's just an amazing voice actor overall, in my opinion. And yeah, just the charm of like the characters, like even every single dragon that you save, maybe with the exception of like 2 or 3, have some unique piece of dialogue that just puts a smile on your face. You could be a kid, you could be in your 30s, you could be in your 40s, but they say things that just kind of put you in a good mood, and it makes the entire experience that much more enjoyable. And it's more than just collecting a bunch of items in a game. Like, you're just having an all-out fun experience when you're playing the game. It has a lot of replay value. I would go back and replay this game any day of the week. I don't really ever get burned out too. Like, I've replayed this game more than once in a year, and it just has so much value to it that you just want to go back and replay it over and over. And yeah, I really can't say much more about it other than that. It's just a great game. And again, those that were lucky enough to actually grow up with this trilogy when it was released originally on the PlayStation, you're very lucky. And I clearly see what I was missing out on all those years ago. So with being a Nintendo console only kid, that was kind of just the way it happened for me. But I don't know, man, that this game is just awesome. And I really can't say too much more. Otherwise, I'm just going to be talking in circles and repeating myself. But yeah, like I said, I will be getting to the other 2 games in this trilogy, in this reignited remake. Very excited to do that. We, of course, will get back to doing some other stuff in between then, just because I don't want to do the same thing repeatedly on my channel to prevent any type of burnout. But yeah, man, I had a lot of fun once again playing through this game, and I no doubt will definitely be replaying it again in the future. So, but that is it for my Let's Play of Spyro the Dragon. Believe it or not, this is not quite where it ends, though, for this game. We have just a little bit of game left to do, and you'll kind of see that coming up here shortly. Thank you all for watching. Anyone that enjoyed this and watched this Let's Play, I very much appreciate the support. But for now, it is time to say goodbye. And I will see you on my next project. What is this? Yes, we have actually returned to Gnasty's world. I love saying Gnasty, even though that's not really the right way to pronounce it. As you can see, we were still missing one dragon statue. If you remember back at the end of the game, here it is.
Gnasty's ancient history now. So, what's in there?
I believe this is Gnasty's treasure hoard, but the gate will only open if you have found everything in the Dragon Kingdom. Come back when you have reached 100%.
So, there is still a little bit of game left to do. If you remember, there was actually one giant dragon head statue that we had yet to open. It was actually after the entrance to the final fight with Gnasty Nork. That was actually the final dragon, so we officially have every dragon rescued in the game, all 80. But there are still more things to collect. So let's get started in this bonus stage, Gnasty's Loot. But yes, if it wasn't bad enough that we actually defeated the guy, we are now going to take all of his damn loot. So there's actually a lot of gems left to find in the game. Now, you may be thinking, well, this is the final world and we've already taken down the final boss. How the hell could they hide so many more gems in the game? Well, you're about to be amazed. So right here, we have one last stage to explore. And this stage is pretty unique, and I actually really like the fact that they added this in the end of the game here. This is where we're going to find the rest of the 2,000, yeah, I said it, 2,000 gems that we are missing. So in this stage, you are essentially going to be exploring it from bottom to top. Every part of the stage you will eventually get to once you have opened a specific door. That door will allow you to actually glide freely without falling up to the next level, but you will only be able to explore one level at a time. So once you glide, as you can see right here, kind of freely, you can collect every single gem on that level. So each door that you unlock will gain you access to the next level. We have more thieves, of course, very nice. They will actually hold the keys that you need to open each of the doors to get you up higher in the stage. This place is loaded with gems, so have a hell of a time here. Go crazy, go wild, and find all these gems, because again, this is optional, but it is necessary if you actually want to go beyond the 100% completion, which they give you an opportunity to do that, unlike many other games. But yeah, like I said, once we grab more keys, we will be able to ascend at a higher level, gaining us access to another level of the stage, which of course will hold many more gems. So you'll see right here, once we climb these stairs, we are now at a higher level. We have another locked door, so we need to find a key to that. But now that we are at this level, we can glide at this height now. So we can actually reach areas that we weren't able to from lower down on the ground. Very cool. I really like this idea. They do something kind of similar like this in the second game as well. And I actually believe, I want to say the third game does it also. It's essentially like a bonus opportunity if you want to go above and beyond the 100% criteria. So you actually have the opportunity of achieving a total of 120% in this game by collecting more gems than you actually need. And what's funny is gems are not even required to, proceed through each home world in the game in each stage. You actually are only required to get a certain amount of dragon statues saved. So it's actually kind of interesting that they allow you to do this at a completely optional pace, and they just kind of want to add a little bit more to the fun, and I like that. I like games that really want to add as much as they possibly can and pack it all into one go here. But yeah, this is really cool. This stage in particular is not really anything special to look at. I kind of like the little castle aesthetics in the background. Like we have those little like the little structures that kind of resemble like pieces of castles. I like the fact that they have thieves like in these planes. You have to kind of chase them and things like that. This little tunnel over there, or that little tunnel over there with the lava on the bottom, is kind of cool looking. But overall, this is such a great idea, and I really wish a lot of other games would do this, where they essentially add like an after game There are some games out there that do this, but I think Spyro does it extremely well, where they give you that extra chance to kind of just really enjoy playing the game, and it's really fleshed out to a point where they add so much here. So we even have the fireworks to let off to destroy these containers that have a lot of other gems in them as well. So very, very cool. And again, it's just another reason why this game has so much replay value to it. Like, thinking about getting to this point is even enjoyable enough. And if you have, if you're somebody like me that really didn't care for the way the final boss fight was laid out, this is a very nice way to kind of make up for that, because we get an extra stage here that we get to freely explore. We get tons of more gems to collect, which is probably the best part about this game, is running around finding gems and different colored gems. We get to do this little chase here with these airplane guys. Like, everything's it's just good. I just love how they did this, and it's just another reason to love this game and to play it. So, and I love that these thieves are just showing up again at the last moment here. The fact that they're driving planes is just hilarious. It's just a nice little touch that they added here in this bonus stage, and again, just adding some humor to the game and adding a little bit of funny moments here is just always a plus. So as we continue to travel through this tunnel, which is filled with lava towards the bottom, as you can see, we will eventually make it over to the next locked door. And we are able to fly pretty damn high now. We have another locked container. We will have to deal with that here in a sec. And there's a firework right there. We'll blast that one open. There's actually 2 locked containers up here. Getting us more gems, of course. And as you can see, we have a total of over 800 at this point. So like I said, there are a total of 2,000 in this stage to find. So you have your work kind of cut out for you, but obviously there's really not much of a challenge here. It's just a matter of finding each key, opening each door, allowing you to ascend to the next level. Alright, we'll go ahead and head up these stairs. This is actually where the next locked door is, right here. We actually passed it earlier. Head up this set of stairs. We have a single gem right there. And looks like that was all that that door had. So 1 single yellow gem. As you can see, yeah, we are not even halfway done with scoping out the gems in this place. We're at 47%. And we'll go ahead and head back outside. Let's see. All right. I'm pretty sure there's another door. Well, there has to be another key. Oh, actually, yeah. We're actually high enough to reach this platform right here, which has the return to home portal. We have a bunch of gems in here, and look at this. Yeah, this is actually the last room. Yeah, this is clearly Gnasty's room. This is actually the room that you saw at the beginning of the game, and that intro cutscene when right before he casted that spell upon the dragons. Looks like he has some nice motivational quotes hanging on his wall. So this guy actually kind of feel bad for taking him out, a little bit ago. He actually, I guess, is a pretty motivational fellow here, except for the fact that he's got a picture of one of the dragons in statue form. It's a little creepy. Does not care about safety, it looks like, because he has a bunch of fireworks just kind of sitting around the place. But if you flame one of the boxes, this will happen. Kind of cool. We get a bunch of gems here. This is actually the last group of gems that we have left to collect. We have now we actually have now a total of 2,000 of them. This guy is a little bit of a narcissist. It looks like he's got a nice big picture of himself on the wall. But that is going to do it for Gnasty's loot. As you can see, yeah, 2,000 gems alone in this stage alone. So very cool. Again, a very nice little extra part of the game here that they add. Just in case you were not done exploring.
Spyro the Dragon, you defeated Gnasty, collected the dragon eggs, saved all the dragons, and recovered every bit of treasure in the Dragon Kingdom. How do you feel?
I feel fired up, Bob. And I'm happy for the dragon world, of course. I certainly wouldn't want to spend the rest of my dragon days butting heads with Gnasty Nork and his weird minions.
What's a minion?
Never mind. You know what they say. For every good battle, you need a good adversary. And I felt that Gnasty, in spite of his misguided nature, was a worthy opponent. Uh-oh. Here we go again!
So although we did take on that bonus stage, gathering every single gem that there is to find in the game, I think it's important to talk about some cheat codes that you can actually use in this game as well. This is actually something I actually did not know until just recently. But you have the opportunity to type in various cheat codes altering Spyro's appearance. And I think this is a nice little cool addition to the game that again is very hidden unless you actually go and research it for yourself. And what better place to do this than in the location where this all started, of course, the Artisan's home world. So there are actually a total of 14 different appearances that Spyro can assume once you type in various cheat codes. Now, each console has their own cheat code, so if you're playing this on the PlayStation, the Xbox, or the Nintendo Switch, it is going to be different, of course, depending on what console you're playing. Obviously, knowing that each console has their own controller, has a different controller, the button inputs are obviously going to be quite different. So we will go ahead and get started with the first cheat, and this one actually gives Spyro a total of 99 extra lives. So you can actually start the game if you choose to with 99 extra lives right off the bat if you type in a certain pattern of inputs. What you want to do is actually go into the pause menu, and if you type in this input combination right here that I have on the screen, that will give Spyro a total of 99 lives. As you can see right there, the top right corner, we now have a total of 99 lives. The next combination of inputs, again, that is seen on the screen here, will give Spyro a big head. This is considered the big head mode. Kind of interesting, kind of similar to Banjo-Kazooie when you were able to type in those codes in the sandcastle floor. This combination of inputs that I have on the screen will make Spyro black. The next one that I have on the screen will give him a blue appearance. He can also, of course, be green. If you're aware of what his original design was supposed to look like, this is probably as close as it's going to look. He was originally going to be green, and his name was actually going to be Pete the Dragon, believe it or not. He can also be pink if you're feeling a little bit tough. You know, tough men wear pink. So if you are willing to play through the rest of the game like this, have at it. He can, of course, be purple, not his normal purple. He is actually obviously his color palette this time is actually completely purple. Of course, he can also be red if you're feeling a little angry or maybe a little spicy. He can also be yellow if you are just feeling like if you are just in a very bright, sunshiny mood. This button combination will allow you to have Spyro enter 2D mode. As you can see, he is only visible in the 2D perspective. Kind of interesting. I'm kind of curious if this game would have been as enjoyable if you could only play it in 2D. Not sure, but obviously in this game it looks a little bit awkward. I mean, imagine playing through the rest of this game in only 2D. Like, that would have been kind of interesting. Probably a little bit more challenging. The next button combination will allow Spyro to have a tiny head. Now, I personally think this actually makes him look a little bit more older. and he just looks a little bit like small. He looks like he was shrunken down but aged a little bit based on how long his neck is. He actually looks a little bit more fierce in my opinion. The next button combination will actually give Spyro small wings. This one's a little bit hard to notice a difference, but as you can see, his wings are baby size. Kind of interesting. His glide, actually I'm not sure if I've tested this out yet. His glide I think is the same. Yeah, I think his glide is actually the same distance and everything. He's got little baby wings, so kind of funny. And we can actually go ahead and pair that up with this tiny head as well. So he now not only has tiny wings, but he also has a tiny head. So kind of cool combo that you can use here. The next one is going to give Spyro his infamous sunglasses. We saw this in one of the previous cutscenes that we just witnessed after finishing the bonus stage. So he looks a little bit more badass like this. Personally, I think this is a nice touch for him. And last but not least, we have his low poly model. So this was originally going to make him look identical to how he looked in the original trilogy. However, this is more of a revamped version where it's essentially just the, obviously his remade model, just kind of scaled down to a low polygon model. So not exactly what he would look like in the original PlayStation 1 version, but pretty close, I have to say. And if we give him the small head, in addition to the low polygon model, he looks even cooler. He looks a little bit older and like he is, you know, he popped out of a retro game and, you know, maybe aged a little bit. All right, so I think now is actually time to go back and visit a few different stages. And the main reason I want to do this is because I actually just found out very recently, actually after recording this entire playthrough, that there was one ability and one move I completely disregarded because I just absolutely had no idea that you could do it. So we're going to go back to Gnasty's world and a couple other stages in some of the other home worlds and try it out on some enemies and see if they might be a little bit easier to take down. Now, the move that I actually never remember or did not know you could do is the roll attack. So Spyro can do this ability where he can actually side roll around the stage, and I think this is actually pretty useful if he is able to actually avoid enemies. We're going to go ahead and re-enter Twilight Harbor because if you remember, probably the most annoying enemies reside in this stage. These guys, the Nord Commandos. So yeah, this roll attack right here. Never knew you could do it. It looks like we aren't seeing a huge difference here. These guys' attacks are still... This attack is still pretty damn difficult to dodge, so... Yeah, kind of interesting there. I'm not sure if it exactly is helping me here, but we're going to give it a go anyways. Alright, so it looks like it's not really making a huge difference. These guys are still a pain in the neck, regardless if we use this little roll attack or not. So next stage we're going to enter, this time as, of course, Tiny Head Dragon, or Tiny Head Spyro, is the Toasty boss stage. Because if you remember, those annoying dogs that jump at you, they actually do show up in this stage. And while his head actually went back to normal size there for that little cutscene when he was flying in. Kind of weird. We'll go ahead and try out the roll move here. And it looks like it is not really helping that much at all. Let me try it again. Okay, so it looks like they still slam our ass down on the ground pretty nastily. Pretty nastily. Okay, so I guess it kind of works a little bit. Yeah, I can't believe I never knew about this move. Yeah, kind of weird how I went through the entire game without even knowing this existed. I've actually played this game several times without knowing it existed. I guess it doesn't really make a huge difference. I was actually thinking that it was going to make a huge difference in like avoiding some of these harder to avoid enemies, and it doesn't really look like that's the case, so... We'll go back into this room and see if it works on these guys. Okay. Okay, so I guess it does kind of work out a little bit in your favor. You just have to time it the right way, I guess. We'll go ahead and re-enter Beastmaker's world, and we'll actually head into the Misty Bog stage. And this time is green as Spyro, or Pete the Dragon, if you will. Of course, this was his original, not really his original design, but it's pretty close to it. We'll try to blend in with our environment, so to speak, because this is a pretty swampy territory that we're entering here, so maybe the enemies will be thrown off if we are, you know, looking a little bit green around the gills. Alright, so this stage had a couple of different enemies. First off, we have these tree guys that kind of, yeah, do that at you, and they can kind of catch you off guard. See if the roll move does anything here. It looks like it's not, believe it or not. Okay, good to know. Let's try this again. This is probably going to result in me losing all of my 99 lives I just cheated to get. How about the attack frogs? Let's see if this does anything for them. I guess they don't really jump at you, but they can, you know, essentially sling their giant tongues at you. Kind of interesting. Stop, drop, and roll is not really working out in our favor here. Yeah, I guess this move is not really that big of a deal breaker when it comes to avoiding enemies any more than you normally could. Kind of a disappointment, but it is there in case you need to use it. Of course, I've actually never used it, like I said, but you never know when it may come in clutch in your game, in your playthrough, so. I think it's finally time to put this series to an end. So what better way to end this than in Spyro's low poly tiny head form? Probably my favorite looking appearance of Spyro. Based off of all of these cheat codes. But yeah, that is going to do it for Spyro the Dragon. Again, thank you for watching, and I will see you on my next project.